down, down, down to nothing. Feeling alone. I'm lost, lost, lost without you. Since you've been gone. Checked my phone too many times. Played your voice inside my head. Can't dream at night when you're not in my bed. Tossing and turning, burning, yearning for your love. Don't think I don't know where you lie. Don't think you know where I hide. I see you, I see her, I see everything. I see the ugly truth in my dream. You're up to something and leaving a mess. I read those letters where you confess. Checked your phone too many times. Played her voice inside my head. Can't dream at night when she's there in your bed. Tossing and turning, burning, yearning for her love. Don't think I don't know where you lie. Don't think you know where I hide. I see you, I see her, I see everything. I see the ugly truth in my dream. Don't think I don't know where you lie. Don't think you know where I hide. I see you, I see her, I see everything. I see the ugly truth in my dream. Dream on, 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 dream on. Don't think I don't know where you lie. Don't think you know where I hide. I see you, I see her, I see everything. I see the ugly truth in my dream.
WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
Please enjoy the show. Shots.
All right. Today is the 26th of July. It is Sunday, so that must mean it is Kicking It with Koz.
The next time you hear from us, it's going to be August.
Wow.
Fun factoid of the day.
Yeah, right? I mean, we are getting up there, everybody. Hola. Hello, everybody. Hello, Stephen. Hello, Heath. It is good to see everybody. Come on in. Make yourself cozy. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
You know what I was wondering?
What were you wondering?
I was wondering what... Okay. All this crap that's going on, this COVID garbage, that's leading up into election season, and the election is going to happen.
Yes.
And one of two things is going to happen. Either President Trump is going to get reelected or he is not.
Yes.
I think that if he gets reelected, I think that more shit's going to hit the fan, and it's going to be with increasing and decreasing levels of intensity. The same shenanigans we're seeing right now play out in cities like Portland and Seattle and Chicago and Detroit and
I agree.
Louisville. I guess Louisville is kind of a little bit of a tinderbox now.
They're all going to get worse, and that's.
I think that's there's going to be a bunch of pop up this, that, and the other thing riots and this, that, and the other thing. You know, everyone rallying against police officers and this, that.
Oh yeah. And I completely agree.
if Biden's running mate wins the election, I think this shit's just gonna poof, gone, disappear.
Mm-hmm. You betcha, because they'll have gotten what they wanted after throwing their tantrum.
Stefan, August is just like the month. It'll be level 8 of Jumanji.
Oh, it's good to see everybody. How is everybody's weather out there? I heard Mr. Koz is getting rain. I'm getting sunshine.
Oh, I didn't. I got rain, but it wasn't because a storm blew through. It was this little spin-off cloud from Hurricane Hannah that hit the. And it wasn't. I wouldn't even call it a part of that. I think it's just some moisture that was sucked up from the Gulf and was thrown our way, and the ingredients came through, and we got a rain shower. It poured for like a minute, and then it was gone.
Oh, okay. So not too bad then.
No, it wasn't bad at all. I mean, it drove all my neighbors inside.
Oh, no.
They were outside having, and they do this every weekend. Everyone kind of gets together and hangs out. And my neighbor Chris has a big smoker, so he's like the neighborhood smoker. So we all kind of coalesce on his house, and everyone just hangs out. Plays. Guys are playing cards, and we're just talking and BSing and having a good time.
Yeah.
I was working on my house, and I went outside to either turn my water back on or turn it off or put the lid back on the little service entrance there. And it was pouring, man. And those guys were like scrambling, picking up their chairs, and everyone running to their respective homes.
Well, that is what happens when they see a little water down in Texas.
It has. I mean, really, it hasn't rained in probably a month and a half or so. Maybe a month. I'd say it's about a month since we've had a good rain. And I can tell by looking at my grass because it's starting to brown up a little bit.
And see, with me, we've been getting high 80s, low 90s. AC weather, definitely.
Oh, it's been AC weather since like March.
See, not for us. We're finally getting that, and I'm trying to get ready to go down to go over to Whidbey. So I'm trying to get things done, and it makes it interesting when it's hot out. And it looks like Stephen says that Florida is definitely keeping it warm there too.
Yeah. So you know that the way that it smells after it rains.
Yes.
You know there's a name for that?
No, I did not.
Oh, petrichor.
A what?
Petrichor. Petrichor.
Huh. Of course, people seem to feel the need to put a name to it, right?
Right. So I've got a list. We can get into that list later.
Yeah, that Indian
common things that people don't know that there are names for.
Yeah, there are a lot of those I've noticed. Hello, Joe. How are you doing? This week, how was your week, Mr. Koz?
Oh, it was a short week, so it was good. I've been kind of going gangbusters on the house. I learned how, and I'd never done this before, but I learned how to sweat a pipe. To put a copper fitting on a copper line. And I did it in the bathroom. I absolutely had to do it in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So once I was comfortable with my ability to do it, I did. I have three lines that I redid underneath my sink in my kitchen. Because my dishwasher, I got this glorious $800 dishwasher that I can't use because I can't turn the water on.
Yeah. Because
my house was built in '84, so I've got this 36-year-old fitting that is closed and it's seized up.
Jeez.
So and that was the reason for me turning off and on and off and on and off and on the water. I'd do a fitting, and then I'd turn the water back on just to make sure it didn't, that I got a good solder connection.
Yeah.
With the valve and stuff. So
again, ladies.
Bathroom. So I did the bathroom, and I did the first one I did underneath the sink was my dishwasher, and I screwed it up. So I did the other two, and then I went back to the store today, got another valve, because it was a different shape valve. And I redid that today.
All right, ladies, he is single. Mom and Spanky are taking applications. The guy, I mean, his enjoyment is home improvement and cooking food.
I haven't really cooked in a while. I've been kind of lazy.
Really?
I'm get home from work and I'm tired. Oh, I don't feel like cooking. So for grocery shopping or something, I'll get like a pound or two of ham or turkey or something. And this last week I pretty much survived on sandwiches.
Uh-huh.
But they were damn good sandwiches.
Of course they were.
Oh, you know what? You know what, Stephanie? You say use flux. Of course you use flux, but you need to get the flux that it's tinning flux. Don't just use regular flux. You have to use tinning flux, which actually makes that solder flow just beautifully. I was using just regular flux because I bought a kit. It was a solder kit, so I got the silver solder, and I got some water soluble flux or something. It came in a kit with the little sandpaper and stuff like that. And that worked okay on my connections that were already soldered, but I have to. I had one I actually had to cut back, so I had fresh pipe to work with, and it was not tinned. And you can't just heat it up and tin it. It's not like a wire. A wire you can just zip. You can tin it pretty easy. This is a 1/2-inch pipe, so I have a torch with a MAP Pro gas in it, so it's hotter than regular propane. You need to have that higher heat because the silver solder has a higher melt temperature. But pipe doesn't tin like wires do.
No, Shane.
I was expecting it to get up to temperature. You take the flame away, and then you just melt the solder around it, wipe it off with a rag, heat it back up again, and do the fitting. It's not like that.
And no, Shane, not a flux capacitor. He's not building a time machine.
Wouldn't that be awesome, though? Stick my head under the sink to do some soldering. I put the flux on. I bring it up to temperature, and then I get done, and I'm happy with my work. And then I get my head out of the sink, and it's a different freaking century.
That would
At
be
least
interesting.
It wouldn't be 2020 again. That would be kind of cool.
But the thing is, would you have learned anything? Would you have learned?
Oh, of course. I always learn something.
Okay. Well, I want to say this before we get too far into it. Stick around for the second hour of Kicking It with Koz. I am going to be discussing something that a lot of people have not heard about. It's called myofascial release.
We had a conversation before we went live, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I had never heard of it before, so.
No, and it's not something that a lot of people hear about, but it is actually getting a lot more notice. Chiropractors and massage therapists are now putting or referring people, and even physical therapists. It's all about, well, shoot, I'll get into that in the second hour. It is something that a lot of you would be interested in and would probably apply to a lot of you. So stick around for the second hour.
Because I do the chiropractor thing, and then once a month, as soon as this Rona BS is done, I was in a regimen of going once a week to the chiropractor and then once a month to a massage therapist.
Mm-hmm.
That seemed to be really working out well.
Well, this is something for people that have anywhere from neck pain, back pain, flexibility problems, difficulty breathing, headaches. It goes all the way down into your toes where you can have cramping in your toes, shooting pain that no matter what you can get rid of. You've heard the expression tennis elbow. This is what a lot of doctors will diagnose as tennis elbow, is actually myofascial tissue or problems.
I'm immune from that. I don't play tennis. I don't
Neither
even
do
play
I, but
racquetball anymore, so I'm in the clear.
I don't play tennis either, but I still ended up with it. Um, and I'm going to explain it all. It comes down to a lot of us, our muscle skeletal is not in line, and I'm not just talking our spine, our shoulders, our joints, our elbows, knees, hips, all of it. This is something that actually lines up the whole skeletal system and gets it to where things are much more mobile again. And I'll explain it, so don't worry about that.
You talked about flexibility issues. The only way to get past flexibility issues is to stretch.
I agree
Yeah.
with you, but there are some things that you cannot stretch that this will happen to. With my elbow, I've stretched my arm, my shoulders, my wrists, and this still ended up happening to me. And the doctor's solution was, I'll give you a shot that works for 2 to 3 months, and you can't get another shot for 6 months. Therefore, you're going to have 3, maybe 4 months of pain and not being able to do any kind of exercise because it hurts too much.
Is that for a cortisone shot?
Yep. And that cortisone shot only lasts for a couple months, and then they can't give you another one for 6 months. And it's a very painful thing, and even then when you get it, you're not supposed to do anything for a week after that shot. So at that point, you've got a lot of time you're not able to exercise. This actually gives that back to you. I haven't had to get a shot for over a year and a half now. And I don't have that pain anymore. So
I think I'll just continue to work on that time machine and take me back to a time when I was like 25 or so. I was really feeling good around 25 years.
Well, we can't, until such things happen, or they can come up with robotics to where we can transfer our consciousness into it, we are stuck with these bodies.
Right. Yeah. I guess I believe you. I had a doctor appointment Friday.
And
the thing is, my last doctor's appointment was in October, and I usually have them every 3 months or so.
Yeah.
So my January, February I had an appointment in March, and of course the Rona put that on the skids, and they postponed it for a month, and then they postponed it for a month, and then they said finally, okay, we're going to do this. Your doctor is going to call you.
Mm-hmm.
So VA doc called me, and we had, I don't know, probably a 20-minute conversation, and I asked her about chiropractic care with the VA.
And
they said that right now, 100% of chiropractic care is on hold.
Really?
As far as the VA goes, until the coronavirus, what the hell did she call it? She didn't call it pandemic. She called it something else. The corona...
crisis?
Yeah, I think she used the word crisis. The coronavirus crisis is gone.
Okay.
I'm like, well, I guess I'm never going to see it. Unless Biden gets elected, and then everything's going to go away in November. Exactly.
Well, that's just it. I've actually seen my chiropractor, and my doctors, even with my wife. Oh, we'll do a telephone thing, or we'll do a video chat. My doctors won't do that with me. I don't get it. They're like, no, you're going to show up. But my wife, they didn't know where you're going to show up. They're not letting me out of crap. No, Shane, pandemic, not plandemic.
It's plandemic. This is planned.
Yeah, you're right. Plandemic. I'll go with that. Okay, plandemic. But no, my doctor's. In fact, I have an appointment this week, and then I have an appointment next month, and then an appointment after that, the month after that. And then they don't care. They're like, nope, you're gonna show up. Okay. But that's life.
You stay in the parking lot and you have to put this level 4 containment suit on, and then they let you in the front door, and then you go through a decontamination process.
Luckily, no. They'll just say, make sure you wear a mask, and we have to make sure we clean our hands anytime anything you touch. And okay. And there are the funny part though is there are very few people in the waiting room. I mean, like one, maybe.
It's crazy. I drive by the VA on my way home every day, and
Yeah.
I look at the parking lot, and that parking lot is stacked with vehicles. Every single day, Monday through Friday, it is just stacked with vehicles.
Huh. See, I haven't been going to the VA. They actually told me to wait until things are under control because I actually see a doctor on base. And some people at the VA don't have that option, so it's smarter that those patients go than me to the VA. So my base doctors make sure to see me.
Good. You get some good one-on-one time with your doc.
Yeah. Instead of having 10 minutes with my doctors, I have 20 or 30 minutes with my doctors.
Well, it's a good social time, I guess.
No, they managed to make it so it's not social. This is something I hadn't seen before. It's like, it's been there. Well, I just noticed it. Oh, goody. More blood work, more telling me off. Thank you. Okay, let's see. I have several friends who in the healthcare industry for doctors, nurses, and they are seeing a huge drop in people who would come in emergency issues, including strokes and heart attacks, not to mention all the people who have canceled elective non-emergency procedures. You know, Stephen, my mother the state canceled all the elective surgeries. She didn't cancel it, they canceled it.
I think our elective procedures are a go on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Because there was a worry since, being in Texas, we're kind of in a hot spot.
Yeah.
For cases right now. But the thing is, the emergency rooms aren't being overwhelmed. And that's what they kind of put a hold on it. And they said, let's just wait to see how things are going. And it's just, of course, there's more positive cases. I've got my own opinions about why there's so many cases, but I think they reinstated elective surgeries on a case-by-case basis.
And see, they finally opened up in where my mom is, and she got the elective surgery she needed, so she can actually swallow again. She's old enough that things start happening to your body that are like, really? Her throat actually started constricting to where she couldn't swallow anything but fluids. She couldn't swallow anything that you would chew. It had to be put in a blender.
That's a great weight loss regimen.
Well, my mom didn't need to lose weight. That's the problem. They've been having a hard time keeping weight on her.
See, my mom and dad are up in the Wisconsin area, and they still see their docs.
My mom sees her doctors, just the elective stuff. They considered this an elective surgery. Well, they finally said, well, we're allowed to do case by case, and they said, yeah, you can. They brought my mom in immediately. Thank goodness. I mean, she was losing way too much weight. Weight she can't afford to lose. So
that's good. I'm glad she's getting seen.
Yeah,
I'm glad she got seen.
I am too. And life keeps moving. I keep saying that. Life keeps moving forward, whether, COVID or no COVID. Life is going to keep moving. And yes, Stephen, a lot of healthcare providers are losing money. Either that's why they're trying to find any way they can possibly get an appointment in. Because with the restrictions that they're doing, everybody's getting hurt. The doctors I'm seeing, they're like, yeah, I'm only allowed to see what I consider critical patients. Otherwise, I'm not allowed. Go ahead.
My chiropractor was the same way when this thing was first no one really knew what was going on, so they shut everything down. My
Yeah.
chiropractor stayed open because they were allowed to treat people in the chiropractor's office if that would prevent them from going to a hospital or to see a doctor.
Ah,
So that kind of worked out. You can't walk in and say, okay, I'm just here for an adjustment, because that doesn't qualify you. But if you go in there and saying, hey, I've got my neck hurts or my lower back is bothering me, then they can actually work on you.
and see, with me, my chiropractor,
They ask you leading questions so they can treat you.
yeah, my chiropractor actually called his patients that he said, if you need to get in, you're considered critical. I don't have to justify it. So anytime you want to come in, just let me know.
Then, of course, there's that little checklist. Do you have a cough? Do you have a fever? Are you feeling okay?
Oh.
Have you been in contact with anybody? Are you aware of the CDC guidelines? Blah, 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 blah.
Exactly. In fact, when I go on base to go to the base hospital and clinic, before you can even enter the hospital, they have a little rounded half moon tunnel that you go through, and in there are some medical people, and they say, okay, have you had? And they go through the list, and it's like, nope, okay. They give me a little piece of paper, and I have to show it when I go in the door, or they don't let you in the door. Hello, Wall. Good to see you.
We had, we have, I think this is the last week that they're doing it, but every day, since this thing just kicked off, we've had mandatory temperature screening.
Mm-hmm.
And my company released an email that says we've done like 10,000 something screenings, and of those 10,000 something screenings, they kind of broke it down.
Huh.
These are this amount of people had a high temperature, and then they were sent to an area to wait for 15 minutes and then get retested. Of all of those people, there's like 2 that were denied entry into the plant that I work in, the laboratory.
Wow.
So I mean that's out of 10,000, like 10,200 and some change.
Wow.
Only people were sent home. We've had a lot of scares, like somebody's wife tested positive. So it's like, of course, the wife's going to stay home in quarantine, the husband's going to stay home in quarantine, and then whomever spent a close contact time with that person exceeding 6 minutes, there's so many little check marks.
Wow.
And they ended up, they had the entire team that's supporting one of our aircraft. That aircraft sat on the hangar floor without anybody turning wrenches on it for 2 weeks, because the entire team got sent home to self-quarantine.
Hello, Holly. Good to see you.
What's cool, what's not cool about that is they still, those are union folks, so they get paid to sit at home.
Yeah.
So they're earning a 40-hour-a-week paycheck.
Jeez.
If that were to, I'm an engineer, so I'm not union. So if they were to say, hey, Koz, you need to go home and your crew needs to go home, we only get 80% of our pay.
Wow.
They'll knock us back to a 40-hour paycheck, and we work a lot more than 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
They would say, okay, you're only going to be getting a 40-hour paycheck for the next 2 weeks, and of that 40 hours, you're only going to get 80% of that.
Shane just said, y'all see the post about a soldier getting quarantined out in the field and not allowed to see the doc? The push him by the tree line and taped him off with just a cot.
Yeah, they quarantined them. I mean, with like engineer tape and stakes in the ground.
Really?
Yeah, the dude was like face down, laying on the ground, not feeling good. I don't know all the details behind that. ICE would be the person to ask about that.
Yeah.
He's got his finger on the pulse of what's going on. But yeah, that's I don't know, man. It's kind of a joke. But anyway, with all those that mandatory temperature screening, it's going away at the end of the month.
Really?
Yeah, they're getting rid of it, which is cool because it adds like a 5-minute walk to get into the gate. All of the gates are closed except for one, so everyone has to go through that one gate. Fortunately, I get to work early enough in the morning where it's not an issue. But I imagine all the people that have to show up at 7 o'clock in the morning and get funneled through that one room. Of course, we have mandatory face masks and all that other crap. But,
Oh yeah.
which I'm used to now. I don't have a problem with it. If it makes other people
Feel better?
feel better, I guess I'm down with that. I don't want to. I don't want my presence to make anybody uncomfortable.
You know, it's getting to where people are either really, really lax about it, or they get just thoroughly obnoxious about it, and you just don't know what you're going to run into.
I'm hearing about all of this pushback because of masks, and people are getting stabbed. And there was a story in the news today of some woman maced a dude in a dog park. I mean, he's out. He's not like next to anybody. He's not in a store or anything. He's out there walking his dog, or he's taking a walk in this park. And this lady ran up to him and maced his ass because he wasn't wearing a mask. I haven't seen any of that. I haven't seen any bad attitudes. I have yet to see someone not wearing a mask or fighting against the hey, you've got to wear a mask thing. You know, because they'll tell you, hey, you got to put a face covering on, and they'll supply you with one if you have one. I've got one. I've got tons of them. But I haven't seen that. I haven't seen anybody just being defiant and not wearing one.
I personally haven't either.
I see it in the news all the time, but I haven't seen it with my own two eyes.
I take that back. I actually did see it at the commissary. Did I tell you about that a couple weeks back?
Someone dropping an attitude because they were told to wear a mask?
Yeah, really bad.
Oh, no, I haven't. No, I haven't heard.
This lady came in, okay, she has this little girl in her, she put her in the cart, and she immediately, when you walk in the commissary, there's someone standing there saying, 1, have to see your ID, 2, you have to have a mask. Lady came in, put her child in the cart, and started walking off. And the lady came up and said, you need to put on a mask. And the lady said, no, I do not, according to the state. And she started rattling off this stuff, and she says, lady, you are in a federal installation. You can sit there and talk state all you want to. Federal regulations apply. And she just sat there and went off and kept trying to shop. They called out the commissary manager, who also told her she had to either put on a mask or leave. Lady just kept going and going, and this is a little child. The little child was burying her head, like, no, I'm not associating with this person. They actually had to take her to the office and sit down and explain to her. You can sit there and quote me, state regulations all you want to. You are on a federal installation. If you do not want to comply with the federal installation, the commander of this base has the right to revoke your privilege to come to this facility until you are willing to comply, or they can suspend you for your attitude.
And the same goes for Walmart or a Shell gas station or any place that you want to go shopping at or go and visit or doing whatever your thing is. If they have it in their policy that everyone's got to wear a mask, guess what? Everyone's got to wear a mask.
Exactly.
It's your choice to wear a mask or not, but if you choose not to wear a mask, they're going to refuse service.
Exactly.
I'm down with that. That's fine.
But of all things, why risk your military benefit just for your stubbornness?
Was she a dependent or was she a service member?
She was a dependent.
Now her spouse is going to get in trouble.
Yeah, they took her name and everything. They said, right, and she left. She refused to put on a mask, and they actually had to call base command, and they had MPs coming over.
You bring out the commissary police. You don't want to mess around with those guys,
right? But I just the whole time, and everybody was looking at her like, are you thick? And
everyone's got this little speech bubble above their head, and everyone's going, what the fuck?
And here's the silly part, okay? You know what she was trying to quote as her excuse? She said, my doctor... My doctor said I have an immune deficiency problem and I can't wear this mask. And I looked, and I'm sitting there going, honey, listen to what she's saying. And my wife's going, you have an immune deficiency problem. Your doctor tells you to wear a mask. It's like, yeah. And she's like, and my wife just look at me, and there are other people just kind of like, what she's saying does not make sense. And as the owner, the commissary managers walked by, he knows me, and he looked at me and said, you heard her excuse. And I said, yeah. He said, that doesn't make sense. I said, no.
It's the thing, and I get where she's coming from, playing devil's advocate here, because there's so many mixed messages coming from medical professionals and coming from the CDC.
Yes.
So, I mean, going for, like, healthy people should not be wearing masks. The only people that, I mean, this is CDC or the WHO is saying only if you're sick should you be wearing a mask, or
Yes.
if you're dealing with sick people, then you should be wearing a mask. If you're just normally healthy, you don't have to wear a mask, or you shouldn't wear a mask.
Yeah.
But cities and municipalities are taking this as like la-di-da-di, everybody put on a mask.
Yeah.
And dude, you're in a grocery store. Let's just say you're in a grocery store, dude. You're in there for less than half an hour. Just put on a freaking mask.
Yeah.
Get your lettuce and potatoes and meats and whatever, and grab a couple pounds of sausage, and then go and check out and have a good time. Take your mask off in your car.
And I get, her excuse just didn't click, and the whole time you're just sitting there, and it's like you have the possibility of suspending your benefits, getting your spouse in trouble, just because you don't feel like putting a mask over your face.
I'm gonna laugh like if her husband's like a PFC or something.
I don't know. The whole time everybody just watched her as she's walking around going, she's on her cell phone. I'm going to call the ADA, state ADA. We're going to, and I was like, oh my God, really?
Was her name Karen?
No. And Stephen, you're right. You don't know people who are asymptomatic at the time, and quite honestly, it doesn't hurt to put on a mask. And someone like me, I have to put on a mask because I do have an immune deficiency problem. I don't need to worry about other people giving it to me. My wife is so protected. My wife will actually is kind of like on point when we go places. She's looking at people, making sure I don't get too close. She'll start pulling me away.
It's crazy. I do my grocery shopping at our neighborhood Walmart. It's the neighborhood version of that store. It's basically just a grocery store. And they have these arrows on the aisles, like you go this way down this aisle and the opposite way down the next aisle.
Yeah.
And, there's signs all over the place. Maintain 6 feet distance. Ain't nobody paying attention to those damn signs. Because I'll walk down one way and I'll go, I need to, I'll walk one way down the bread aisle. I'm like, I got to get peanut butter, which is at the other end of the aisle. So I turn around, I do a 180, and then walk the wrong way down the aisle to go grab some peanut butter. It's no one's paying attention to those signs, at least not here.
Yeah, well, that's Texas.
I haven't encountered any busybodies that are. I don't know when this thing first kicked off, man. There were dudes like with a like an inner tube around their waist just to keep people away. A guy had a pool noodles. He made a hat out of pool noodles, and they extended like 3 feet or 6 feet from his head.
Yeah.
Just so people would stay away from him.
Oh God.
It's just funny. I just think it's hilarious. But no, I haven't run into any busybodies going, you're going the wrong way down this aisle.
I don't even do that. And it's not,
wouldn't. Why would I?
With me, my wife, she doesn't want me sick. I mean, for some reason, she actually loves me or something. I don't get it.
She wants to keep you around for a little while.
Yeah, she wants to keep me around for some reason. I have no idea.
It's your charming personality and that sexy ass army hat you're wearing.
Oh, thank you. I'm just so happy. You know, ain't I sexy? But no, she will actually get to the point where she'll say no. You know, you stay over here, and she just really is very cautious about it. And the whole time I'm going, honey, and she's no. And I think it's. I mean, it's cute that she cares about me. I don't get it, but I mean, it's even to the point where they're talking again about sending people back to work. And at this point, they're not, they're talking it may take until January.
Wait, y'all aren't back at work yet?
No, she's not back at work yet.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think June 1st is when the lockdown was over here. Everyone's back to work and life is, we know it has resumed, except everyone's wearing a freaking mask everywhere.
Well, with her, it's they have offices in several states, and they're going by each state by state, but then on top of it, like they opened up and said, okay, we're going to allow a certain percentage back into the office, and we'll see how that goes. Well, lo and behold, they let the first group, first percentage in, and lo and behold, someone ended up passing around COVID. And so they're like, okay, we're going to pull this back. We're going to retract. We're going to try this again. It's like
sharing is caring, right?
Right. And then on top of it, a lot of the workers have their own physical issues. In fact, some of them have immune deficiency problems. And she's like, and their kids go to school. And she's like, I don't want to be around them because if their kid catches it, they're going to catch it and they're going to give it to me. And so my wife said, I'm on the last one to go in list.
You know, we're coming to the end of spring break.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, summer vacation right now. And the kids are going to be slated to go back to school. And there's a lot of towns that are, there's a lot of pushback.
Yes.
And I guess I understand it. But then again, I don't quite understand it. Because, you know, you hear the official word, like children are, they're not asymptomatic carriers. They can't get it. But then you see things in the news, and there's this big spectacular headline: 5-year-old, this was like the day before yesterday. 5-year-old dies of COVID-19. Well, you read the story, and way down in the middle, it says, you know, this little 5-year-old kid had significant underlying issues.
Exactly.
And they didn't get specific to it, but I'm guessing asthma or something like that.
Yes.
But they glorify, they make it so spectacular. And the title of the article was like 5-year-old dies of COVID-19.
Exactly. And this is, you and I both, we try to stay out of politics because that's what tears people up. But that's what's going to, you and I both know, this is going to go on because this is the way of scaring people not to talk, not to watch, not to see what's really going on, and to hide people and make people live in fear and rely on the government. That's what the radical left wants from us, is to stay in your house, shut up, and let us run the government because you don't know what's what. That's what they're trying to do. And that's the unfortunate part about this right now, is this is a very political year. Oh, get this. Biden had an interview this week
with
one of the major.
I know he passed on the because Fox did an interview with President Trump.
Yes.
And then they extended that offer to Joe Biden, and he declined.
And he did one for one of the other major networks. So you know they're going to softball it, right? They said in less than 3 minutes, he was screwing up to where they had to go ahead and cut him out. And he has 3 scheduled debates.
That's, I mean, and I've seen the memes. And it's just like, yeah, 2020 kind of sucks, and it's a really crappy year. But everyone, we can all look forward to Joe Biden trying to debate President Trump.
They're trying to make it so you can't vote. They're trying to make the economy bad. I mean, right now, in the state I live in, it's Democratic. It's run by Democrats. Very, very, very liberal Democrats. Okay? They're messing up to where even the liberals are getting pissed at them. They're actually letting Antifa in. There are so many liberals getting pissed at this point that they may actually end up causing the state to turn conservative. Just because business owners who are liberal are having a hard time. There's a lot of them that have gone out of business because of it. And everybody says, well, it's Trump's fault. No, Trump let the states decide how to run it.
And if he would have said, this is the federal mandate, yield to me, it's like, oh, he's overreaching his authority. The man cannot do anything right.
Yeah. He can't. But the idea is, he turned it over to the states. The states have been fear-mongering, the liberal ones, to the point now where there's a chance that people who have been established and have been in office for a while may lose their positions now, just because of the way that they've been doing things. And it's not only the state I live in. I've heard a lot of grumbling from other states. Yeah, Bob, the states insisted. The state said, no, I want to do it. And he said, fine, do it. Let your people see what you are capable of. And even Cuomo has sat there and tried to say, well, if Trump had done this for it. No, Trump did everything. The states didn't.
So, with the school year getting ready to start, schools were supposed to open up here on September 8th. I'm throwing out dates. Like the first week, or no, it was like the first day after, was it Labor Day?
Yes.
The Labor Day holiday in September. So it was right after that is when the schools were supposed to open up.
Yes.
Then they pushed it back to like the 28th, to the end of September. So there was this thing, and I think it's happening in other cities too, especially in the state of Texas. I think every state funds their own public schools. They get a stipend from the federal government for attendance, and then their funding comes from the collection of property taxes. A damn good portion of your property taxes go to the schools.
Yes.
So there was a lot of people out there saying, hey, if you aren't going to be if you're not holding classes in the classroom, we deserve, as taxpayers, we deserve a rebate on at least the portion of taxes that are collected going towards schools.
Yes.
And here I am thinking these teachers are still getting paid.
Yes,
whether
they are.
they're in the classroom or not.
In fact, the unions have been fighting, saying, well, the teachers can teach by online, and the schools and the studies that they did this spring showed that kids were not getting what they needed out of those classes, and that they weren't effective at all, except for the charter schools. The charter schools that ran that stuff, they said that that there was quite a difference between public schools and charter schools as far as how well the charter schools did online. And at this point, they're going, well, we don't want the charter schools around there. Get this, there was a bunch of charter schools in New York that's run by a major company, and they said we're going to go ahead and open up, but part of their property, or they use part of property from public schools. And because of that, the governor said no. The governor or De Blasio, I don't remember, said no. You can't open the doors. So even the charter schools are being told they can't open up, and they don't get any money. The charter schools don't get any money if they don't open up. And the regular schools, the unions have fought to say, well, even though there's no school, we get our paychecks.
Yeah, charter schools. My kids went through private school when they were young, all the way up until 6th grade. It was all Montessori, and then they went into public school.
Yeah.
So and yeah, those schools are tuition based. You know, moms and dads, you know, they still pay their school taxes, but then they also fork over the bill for paying for their kids' education.
Exactly.
My wife and I both did that, and it was good. It was better for the kids because once they got into 6th and 7th grade, they were more than prepared for whatever the educational system had to throw at them.
Well, here's the thing, Captain, because the captain brought up that charter schools are for the rich kids. No, there is actually in New York State, in New York, excuse me, some charter schools that are specifically set up for underprivileged kids to give them the education to help them get out of poverty. And they're run exactly like a regular charter school with the better education and everything. The same standards, everything. They give them their uniforms. They do everything for these kids. They've got waiting lists.
Yeah, I didn't have that experience. It was they had to apply.
Yes.
And they had to test into the school. But once they were there, you know, it was for both of the girls. I think it was around. I mean, we had to buy uniforms, and it was like $1,000 a month or so for both of the girls.
Wow. And see, they're shutting down these things, and it's like what they're purposely. And anybody who has any brain will sit there and say they're purposely trying to stop. They're purposely trying to stop the people in poverty from getting out of it, because they're slowing down the economy, so there's less jobs. They're making it harder for the schools that are helping the kids get out of poverty to go to those schools. They're doing all these things, and yet they're sitting there saying that they are the ones who are the champion of the underdog.
So, with my statement earlier, do you think at all that there might be some kind of a rebate or some kind of a
no, not just because of the unions?
I mean, because hell, you know, I haven't had kids in the school system for a very, very long time, but that's still a big old chunk of my property tax going to schools.
I can tell you right now, with the unions and the way they've been defending their teachers, they've actually been at odds with a lot of cities saying, well, it doesn't matter if the kids go to school or not. We get our paychecks. It's in our contract. We'll go ahead and do online stuff, even if it's piss poor attendance or the kids don't get anywhere. But we are not going to. We don't have a choice. We have to pay them. That's what unions do. That's what unions do.
Yeah, they let their people do less for more.
Exactly. They aren't held accountable. There's even been talk like that has gone around. Well, you know, the teachers haven't been working, stuff like that, and they're like, well, they said, what would happen if they went ahead and got federal approval to do that? And they said if they get federal approval to do it, you'd see the schools opened up no matter what on time. You know it would happen. But because
I'm a big fan of that online learning for nothing, for no other reason except for just to keep the kids limber. They don't have to be learning new processes, new mathematical functions and whatnot. Just give them some problems, give them some worksheets, keep their mind limber. Because if you don't use it, you're going to lose it.
Well, here's the issue that's come up is a lot of them say, well, they don't have the access to the internet they need. So then what has come up? Oh, well, we need to start a social program to get those kids better internet. We need to get the kids social programs so that they can have computers that will work. And they're doing all these things, but they're not looking at the actual, even if the kids get that, how well are they going to do? And they've already, this spring, they did studies showing that the only group that had any success with online learning at all was the charter schools.
Did you hear about, there's a girl in, I think it's a young girl in Michigan who is in jail because she didn't do her online schooling.
No, I did not.
She didn't log in for a long time, and I guess she's like in truancy jail. Jeez. So I know here in my area, if the kids are truant, the parents actually get fined.
Yeah,
it's like $500 per infraction. It's it's nasty, man.
Well, again, I at this point in time, I'm going to be interested to see how the liberals are going to cover up all the things they've been doing since COVID. I'm really going to be interested to see how it happens. Because the debates, when they come up, and the Democrats have agreed to 3 debates only.
Do you think they'll be face-to-face debates, or you think they'll be virtual debates?
That's the question. I think, see, here's the thing. They proved that you can debate. Remember they did with Sanders, where they put Sanders and Biden on the stage and no audience? And they proved that, that both of them did horribly because they didn't have the power of the audience behind them. It would even be worse if you got them virtually. Because at that point, there's still no way of getting applause.
And all you'd hear is like Biden going, I didn't hear the question, or there's something wrong with this mic. Is this thing on?
Whereas Trump, he knows his stuff and he's got a lot to stand on. I mean, even with the COVID, the minute things started opening up, the economy started coming back. So nobody can say that Trump can't handle it. And he didn't handle the COVID wrong. He gave it to the states. The states handled it wrong. And all he's got to do is point that out.
I don't think he needs to be pointing fingers.
Well,
I think he needs to just talk facts.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the fact, is if they sit there and say, well, during the COVID, do you think you handled it properly? All I got to say is I did. I gave it to the states. Each state was allowed to go individually according to what was going on in their state.
So we've got a couple minutes left, and since we're kind of talking about education,
yes,
here's some things that you don't really learn in school. Okay, you know that space between your eyes, at the bridge at the top of your nose. What's the name of that?
I have no idea.
Called a glabella.
Glabella. Okay.
Now you know. Now you might know this. This is kind of common. I think it's. I've had this question in a crossword, and that's the only reason why I knew it. But the plastic or metallic coating at the end of your shoelaces. You know what that's called?
I at one point knew that.
An aglet.
What?
An aglet. Aglet. When your stomach rumbles, there's a name for that.
Really?
Called a womble. So if you close your eyes and then you press your hands on them, the light that you see are called phosphenes. There's names for all of these weird things. There is a name. Where is it? There's a funny one in here. Let me see. Where the hell is that one? In songs, when you hear like na 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 or la la la,
Yeah.
they don't have any meaning in the lyrics of any song. They're called vocables. You know, if you look, I mean, I know you got the wife beater on, but you know what your armholes are called, where where sleeves would normally be sewn? There's a name for that.
What is it?
Armsky. ARMSCYE.
You know, my problem is that people took the time to actually come up with names for that. There's some little guy going, I got this, I got it.
I want to name it. I want to name it.
Uh-huh.
All right, Stephen, name it. The tiny thing placed in the middle of a pizza box. In the middle of the pizza.
What
you know what
that?
that's called?
What?
It's a box tent.
A box tent. Jeez.
No, I saw a discussion on that, and they're like, I never called it a box tent. I called it a Barbie table, which also makes sense.
Uh-huh. It does. And guess what?
It's time.
It is at the top of the hour. It's time for you to go eat. Hey, Bailey,
Yes.
good to see you. So, everybody, Koz is going to go eat, and I'm going to take a small break. When you
And
come
then
back,
come back and talk about myofascial release.
we are going to talk. I'm going to talk about myofascial release, how it affects you, how it can help, how you can get help, and explain it so that it's something that may affect you, and you may not even know it at this point. Stick around. We'll be talking about that, and then after that, we'll go to our normal Florida Man stories, and we do have Florida Man stories.
Okay, Wall asked, what am I eating tonight? Tonight I am having, and I kind of got into a rut, but I'm having, the hell it's called, it's Italian with Alfredo tortellini. Little sausage tortellinis with Alfredo sauce and French bread. With
Okay.
lots of butter and garlic.
You can hear those arteries harden from here.
No, but I'm chasing away with a big ass salad that I made.
Okay. All right, everybody. Any wise words from Mr. Koz?
Yes. As a matter of fact, that sick feeling that you get after eating or drinking too much,
Yeah.
it's called crapulence.
Crapulent. Okay.
And that's legit. Look it up. CRAPULENCE.
All right. Everybody, I will see you in 10 minutes. Mr. Koz, go enjoy your dinner and have a good rest of your week. We'll see you next Sunday. Next Friday.
Next Friday.
Sunday, yeah.
Don't be rearranging my schedule, man.
All right, everybody. We will be back in 10 minutes. Enjoy the music. Go do some push-ups. Go do some sit-ups. Go smoke them if you got them. Go pop some popcorn. Go to the bathroom, and we will see you in 10. Shots.
Before coffee on a Tuesday, it's already been a bad week. My girls had a couple flats, and my dishwasher sprung a leak. From the kitchen, her complaining, you know it just ain't cute anymore. I get the itch and start to drift towards the great outdoors. I smell the honeysuckle blooms, I can see the red buds too. In my garage, I got rods upon the wall. I got a giant boat in the yard under a faded camo tarp. I need a reset to my spot. I hear the call. I just gone fishing. Let her know that I ain't gone. Junk mail don't come out there. My phone won't ring. The only thing I want to hear is my reel with a big one on a string. That large mouth don't talk at all, and my weight just sinks away. Set him free, bring him home. The one decision I gotta make. I smell the honeysuckle blooms, I can see the red buds too. In my garage, I got rods up on the wall. I got a John boat in the yard under a faded camo tar. I need a reset to my spot. I hear the call. Just gone fishing, let her know that I ain't gone. I got my tackle box in the front seat and my best friend in the bed. Don't come looking for me, 'cause I ain't coming home till long after that sunset. I smell the honeysuckle blooms, I can see the red buds too. I got the rods in my garage down on the wall. Threw my John boat in the truck, filled my camo cooler up. I hit the reset, hit my spot, and heated that car. I just gone fishing, let her know that I ain't gone. No, I ain't gone messing, I've just gone fishing. Let her know that I ain't gone. Too hot to handle, I'm a countryman now. Get your feel now, cause the contraband's out. Yankee boy, no, I ain't from the South. But if you're talking to me, you better watch your mouth. Lit up like a stove, I'm a country campfire. Best of the best and the rest you can't find. Chillin' with blues, rock and roll and cheap wine. That's how the story's told, so it goes through the grapevine. Keep me drinking this whiskey, leave my head banging like an 808. Living this life seems risky, but it's the only way left to escape. Mama keeps saying she'll miss me, can't blame her for all my hate. Keep me drinking this whiskey until the day that I'm laying in my grave. I'm telling you, man, you know this real shit's hard. Work a full-time job, I'm still stuck in a box. Breaking my back, trying to save up a stack, but every time I go forward, man, I just go back. I need new strings and the homies in jail. I put money on his books, but he's still gonna fail. His reward's high and it's half-assed due. I don't like to spend cash if I know I'ma lose. I got no time like you seem to do. I'd rather spend my money, get my kids some shoes. I made mistakes just like we all do. It's time to pay for my crimes, man, I'll pay my dues. Keep me drinking this whiskey, leave my head banging like an 808. Living this life seems risky, but it's the only way left to escape. Mama keeps saying she'll miss me, can't blame her for all my hate. Keep me drinking this whiskey until the day that I'm laying in my grave.
WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
Please enjoy the show. Shots.
All right, everybody, we are back. Welcome back to the second half of Kicking It with Koz, and I am Al. It is time for our alternative 10 minutes or so. You heard me mention it before. Myofascial release. Myofascial release is a safe and very effective hands-on technique that involves applying gentle, sustained pressure into the myofascial connective tissue restrictions to eliminate pain and restore motion. Myofascial tissue is a type of thin, strong... hold on, I'm going to change this. There we go. Oop, this is the one I want. There we go. It is a type of thin, strong, fibrous connective tissue that extends throughout your body to provide and protect, support, and protection to your muscles and bones. Myofascial tissue fibers are made up of collagen and elastic fibers that are arranged in a web-like structure that are suspended in a fluid called ground substance with a tensile strength of more than 2,000 pounds that provides a strong support for the muscles, while at the same time allowing for flexibility. You can think of myofascial tissue as being similar to a mesh bag that contains your groceries. It is pliable and can expand and contract as the contents of the bag change. It envelopes your body like a websuit from the tips of your toes to the top of your head. Okay, healthy myofascial tissue is soft and relaxed. However, trauma and inflammation to the tissue can cause it to become tight and more rigid, and knots of adhesions can develop into tissue that can cause a restriction in the motion and lead to the development of trigger points that can cause pain anywhere in the body. Chronic neck and back pain, muscle spasms, headaches, difficulty breathing, and reduced flexibility may all be due to the problem of myofascial tissue. All right, everybody. The reason I'm talking about this, a lot of people think about, you actually heard me talk about chiropractors. Okay. Chiropractors work on the spine. Sometimes they work a little bit with the joint alignment, but that's mainly it. Massage therapists works with muscle. They mainly work to get muscle to relax so that work can be done on your body, and to get lactic acid broke up so that your muscles can move and actually relax, not tense up so much. Here's the difference. Myofascial tissue, or myofascial release, is neither chiropractic work or massage therapy work. What that person does, and I've had it done to me a grand total of 5 times now. Excuse me. What they do is they get you on a massage table, but they're not massaging you. They're actually pressing in on myofascial points where adhesions happen or are happening with you. And they actually push and move the muscle and stretch the muscle to get circulation into the point that isn't moving or that is giving you a problem. I know it works because I actually was diagnosed with tennis elbow, quote unquote, okay? Tennis elbow is myofascial tissue damage. And what happens is I built an adhesion in a spot that, yes, I stretch, yes, I lift weights, but for some reason, not enough circulation was getting in that area. And I ended up with an adhesion building up to where it was restricting my movement of my arm. And I mean, this arm, I would sit there and you would feel pain from, hold it above the mic, from this point in my arm all the way down to my fingertips. I couldn't pick things up. It felt painful, and it actually felt like something was pulling on it to keep me from picking things up. They said, oh, tennis elbow. They went and they gave me that needled shot. And that shot hurts like a mother. And, you know, it's a prednisone shot. They give it to you, and you're not allowed to do anything for a week. You're actually supposed to keep it tucked into you because it's supposed to sit there and knock down the inflammation. And if you start using it too early after that shot, you can actually cause ruptures of your tendons and ligaments in the area. So for a week, you can't use it. Then you can use it for, 2 to 3 months. And then you can't, then it starts coming back and you can't use it again for another 2 to 3 months until you can get the shot again. Now, seawall. And the thing is, myofascial release specialists, it took an hour, and you swear he's just yanking on you. He's pulling on you. They're pushing on you. But when they're done, they'll tell you, go home, don't do anything for 1 day, maybe 2. And after that 1 or 2 days, it starts feeling better. It actually started feeling better within about 2 hours, but really started feeling better within a day or so. He says, give it 48 to 72 hours before you go and try to use it too. If you use it too quickly, you actually can tear things. But after that, he said, you're back to normal. I gave it 72 hours, and I went right back to what I wanted to do. He also had me stand up. And because I have to use a cane, he said, well, let me guess. He said, you have a problem with this hip and this leg and this. And he said, you've got building up going on already. Maybe you might want to consider doing your legs also. And I said, okay. So he went ahead and did the rest. He did my other shoulder and my hips and arms. And I actually started doing better with my exercising because I felt like everything was where it's supposed to be. And I went and saw my chiropractor afterwards, and he said, yeah, now I can line you up and you'll stay this way for a lot longer. It helped my chiropractor because he went and got my skeletal structure to reposition, so when my chiropractor did the alignment of my spine, I was actually standing straight. So when someone says you don't know what it is like to not be able to use your legs, well, yeah, I'm not going to say I know, but you can't. When you have things like tennis elbow, people kind of go, ha ha ha. No, it's not funny. It hurts. And it's because the tissue, that myofascial tissue, gets rigid. It isn't getting the proper circulation. And you can exercise, and you can stretch, and it still happens. I'm just letting you know this because you may sit there and say, well, I've always got a constant problem with my neck or my back. Excuse me. And I've heard my massage therapists talk about adhesions. This is what they're talking about. They can press and rub, but a myofascial release specialist will actually turn and position to push and get the circulation there as it's needed and efficiently. And it'll get your body to correct itself. Your body has a memory. It will actually try to put itself back in the place it belongs if given a chance. And myofascial release specialists get the body to do that for you. This is a second year. I saw them a year and a half ago, first time. I saw them this is 2020, 2019. In November of 2018, I saw a myofascial release specialist for the first time. And for the first time last year in spring, I didn't have trigger points in my back that would make my whole arm lock up. This year I didn't have it either. And that's because I saw a myofascial release specialist this last December. Only had to see him one time. He gave me some exercise to do, and I do them. And it keeps things problems from building up. I bring this up to you guys not because I'm sitting there going, oh, you need to go to... If you've got these problems, okay, I'm going to tell you, our VA here where I'm at actually will give you a referral to see a myofascial release specialist if they think you need it. The VAs have the mandate where they are now supposed to open up to alternative therapies. Our VA here actually does it. You can actually get a referral to see a myofascial release specialist. You can get a referral to see a chiropractor. You can get a referral to see an acupuncturist and a whole bunch of others. I'm trying to remind you of what your benefits are, because your benefits have expanded and you need to remember that. Okay? I'll never compare my pain to someone who's had their arm blown off. I'll never compare my pain to someone who's had permanent nerve damage, although I have permanent nerve damage also. I'll never compare my pain to a lot of things. But I can tell you, when those trigger points in my back or the trigger point in my arm happen, I lose the ability to close my hand fully. I lose the ability to hold on to a simple cup of water. It just slides right out of my hand. Or I have to really concentrate to hold it because it hurts so immensely to do so. I've heard of people having myofascial tissue problems in their heels, in their toes, in their knees, in their hips, in their upper necks. Myofascial tissue, let me go back to this. Sets up trigger points anywhere and everywhere if proper circulation doesn't get there to keep the tissue elastic, to give it the collagen that it needs, and the elastin that it needs, which means circulation. If it doesn't get this proper circulation, and you can be athletic. I know people who are very athletic, who've been, just they do CrossFit, and they have myofascial tissue problems. It happens. It's something that you should look into if you've got trigger points that can be pushed on, that radiate, and if they start flaring up, go down limbs and cause major issues with being able to control the muscles and to give you a lot, and they give you a lot of pain. It's not about sickle cell disease. Yes, Doc, it is very painful. Doc, you're right. There is always someone out there worse off than you are. And I will agree with that 100%. I'm 100% disabled. Does it mean that I'm the worst there is? No. There's always someone worse than me. And there's always someone worse than you. But it doesn't mean you don't have the right to try to even make it better. To make your quality of life better. You have that right. I'm the first one to advocate. You are the person who's going to upgrade your quality of life. Your doctors aren't. They have a little box that they work in. And unless you sit there and thump it and make them listen, it's just not going to happen. I paid for the myofascial release specialist myself, even though my arthritis doctor said, well, there's nothing we can do for it. And he gave me that shot. Lo and behold, I went to a myofascial release specialist, and I haven't needed a shot for over a year and a half. One of my doctor's PAs actually went to see a myofascial release specialist after I went and saw one, and he doesn't need that shot in his elbow either. I'm missing 1/3 of my brain and had a stimulator to keep it ticking right. Battle epilepsy after injury, but at least I can walk. Exactly, Doc. There's always you can always have the ability to say, but at least I can do this. I'm not out here to tell you how to live your life. I'm suggesting things that can improve it. It used to be, come December, I had to get out a percussioner and just reef on my back, and I'd have to go to my chiropractor, and I'd have to go to a massage therapist, and I would still seize up on my left side, to the point where sometimes even for as long as a month, I would lose use of my left arm. That's how bad it would get. And then after a lot of work on it, and finally, I would get some relief. But this would happen because of my arthritis and weather changes. It caused this. Well, since I've been going to see a myofascial release specialist, I haven't had that problem. Not once. I've had that problem since 1995. And I've had 2 January, February, March, April 2 years during those periods where I haven't had that problem now. For 2 years. And it's all because I go to see one person. There are 1,300 myofascial release specialists in the United States. So they are around. If it sounds like something that may help, ask a massage therapist. Ask a chiropractor. They know what they are. Say, hey, do you know, is my problem because of the myofascial tissue? If they say yes, you say, okay. Do you know of a myofascial release specialist? And a lot of times they actually do. They help. I brought it up to you because this is alternative time. This is stuff you're not going to hear from the VA all the time. This is not something you're going to hear from your primary care provider. If you know this, you can take it to your primary care provider. Look it up. Research it. Take it to them and say, I want a referral. If this fits my problem, I want a referral. And I didn't even wait. I went ahead and paid for it. It's not like it was expensive, because it really wasn't. And they gave me a military discount. Our VA actually refers people to this guy, and they pay for it. So, I know it's possible. I hope that has helped you. I hope that information has helped you. Keep it in mind My worst time is in the winter. Doesn't mean that's your worst time. Some people have the problem all the time. My tennis elbow I had going into the summer. But then I went and saw a myofascial release specialist, and boom, I started doing better. So, that's my alternative 10 minutes or so. I hope that's helped you. I hope the information is good, and I hope you will take it for what it is. I don't bring in experts if I can't get them, not because I don't want them, but because they have lives too, and they're very busy. I'll bring you things I know from my experience. This is my experience. I'm not a myofascial release specialist. I just happen to know what they do because I've gone through it. And that's how I'm going to tell things, is if I've experienced it, I will tell it. If I have not experienced it, I'm not going to talk about it. Because I'm not going to bring you something that I haven't tested myself and know the possibilities. All right? All right. You know what? Enough seriousness. Let's get to silliness, stupidity, and Florida. All right. I've got some interesting stories. I'm looking for one that sounds like fun. Okay, here we go. Just because we were talking about COVID. Florida gang members organized parties to spread COVID-19. You believe that? Osceola County Sheriff Russ Gibson in Florida believed that gang members were holding street parties to intentionally spread COVID-19. Gibson alleged that gang members are organizing parties to spread COVID-19 among themselves, he said. Osceola said. According to Gibson, they have already received more than 600 noise complaints since March. He noted that one of these gatherings were attended by more than 400 people. Gibson said that these gang members are coming from Central Florida and rented multiple vacation homes in the area, focusing on 3 gated house developments. The Sheriff's Department has released a video of one of the parties. The video showed cars blocking the roadway and a large group of people gathered to dance and party. The video was taken earlier this month. They also released a footage that showed many cars blocking the intersection that happened in May. The party was broken up when the cops arrived. The sheriff said locals in the county are now living a life of terror. Gibson firmly believed that those who were attending the parties were trying to mingle with each other to spread the virus. The sheriff added that what the county experienced now would result in sudden spike of COVID infections. They're being referred to, from what I've been told, as COVID-19 parties, where they're actually getting together and they're trying to mingle to potentially spread the virus amongst each other if they're asymptomatic or whatever the case might be, Gibson said. Gibson noted that while those who attend the party may not be at risk if they contract the COVID-19, they could spread it to someone, or they could spread it to someone. They may pose a risk to others by spreading the virus. The county has recently experienced a tremendous spike in COVID-19 infections. Stephen, in a minute, I'll open up my lines. You know, I've actually heard that there are people now trying to spread it, kind of like the old chicken pox parties that mothers used to hold when a kid had chicken pox. A bunch of the mothers would get together and bring their kids and try to make sure their kids got it so they could get over it. The part that those kids don't understand is the immunity doesn't last like chickenpox. They've proven now that you can get it again once you've had it. So it's not like the chickenpox, but for some reason they insist on doing it. Some people's kids. Oh, here we go. Here's a Disney employee shows up naked to prostitution sting. This guy walked up to the front door of this home in neighborhood on a cool evening, buck naked. Sheriff said. Florida investigators have arrested a total of 124 suspected targets or suspects targeted in a sting operation focused around detaining individuals connected with prostitution, human trafficking, and identifying child predators, including a security guard at Disney World, a PGA Tour golfer, and a pastor. Polk County operation titled the Operation Santa's Naughty List, an operation directing at identifying and helping victims of human trafficking and prostitution. I in my heart believe that every one of these prostitutes at some point in their life were a victim of human trafficking, if in fact they're not currently a victim of human trafficking, the sheriff said. Undercover agents used tactics such as online advertisements to lure suspects into the sting operation. Detectives would then follow up the advertisements, followed by close correspondence. One such case involved the arrest of a Disney security guard, Rodney Davis, 56, who was charged with soliciting prostitution after he showed up to greet the officers in his birthday suit. Yippee! Out of the 124 arrested, 53 went down for prostitution. 46 arrested for seeking the services of a prostitute, and 18 arrested of various other related charges, and 5 had the intention, and 7 were charged with soliciting minors. Of 5, of those 5, 7 intended to sexually harm the children, according to Judd. 30 were married, and 7 suspects traveled in from other states, including one subject who came in from Canada. In addition, a notable target of the investigation netted Polk County authorities were taking down a professional golfer on the PGA Tour, Tommy Gainey, who told the investigators he was in town for a charity golf event. Wow. Tell you what. Some people just don't get it. That's not okay. I mean, we can sit here and we talk about, prostitution is the world's oldest profession, and so on and so forth. Okay, and I get that, but it's not innocent. It's not. It shouldn't be the subjects of cutesy movies. People aren't nice 3/4 of the time. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why you whoop your child's butt. This is stuff that harms people. And unfortunately, people don't get that. I've known prostitutes. They've been my friends, and they were coming to me because they had problems, and it stemmed from their prostitution. You know, I'll go with that. It's not just child trafficking. I'd go as far as saying human trafficking. Human trafficking in general is horrible. If you watch certain movies or certain series like Queen of the South, they talk about human trafficking and they make light of it. They don't. They try to show that, oh, but it makes you tougher and stronger. No, it causes major issues that you will scar people for the rest of their lives. Human trafficking, child trafficking, it's all horrible. If you choose to be a prostitute, you haven't been told to go into it because you're doing drugs. You haven't been forced into it because of this, that, or the other thing. If that's your professional choice, whatever. But if you're forced into it for any reason, it ain't right. Doc, I'll get you for that one. No. They were friends because they needed help. They found me and asked me to help them. So, oops, I hit the wrong thing. Apologize. As far as trafficking, man, I'm having problems with my buttons today. I brought that up because it is funny, but it isn't. It reminds you that you just don't know. And that's the sad part. You just don't know who ends up doing it. Anyway, woman tries to steal a 65-inch television from Florida Walmart. Now this is ballsy, okay? Shoplifters still managed to steal other electronics, authorities said. Mulberry, Florida. Does a 65-inch television actually fit in a shopping cart? No, not really. That was a question and answer that a sheriff's office in Central Florida posed to their audience after they said two women attempted to steal an oversized television. The Polk County Sheriff's Office said the shoplifters entered a Walmart in Mulberry, Florida on Sunday afternoon and began placing electronics in their shopping cart, including the large television. One of the women left the store first. Then the other woman pushed the cart with the television and exited the store without paying for the items. Authorities said security confronted the woman about her receipt, but she did not have one. Sheriff's office said the woman who left the store first then grabbed all of the stolen electronics out of the car except the 65-inch television and put them in their car. Store security was able to keep them from stealing the television. Both women then fled the store. Both women then fled the store, and now investigators are trying to identify the shoplifters. The department said in the Facebook post, "Quite the bold attempt," she made, trying to steal a TV that's as big, that is that big. That's ballsy. Wow. 25 over in YouTube. Yeah. You know what? That's still ballsy. I'm sorry. Some people's children. And that's all you can say. Some people's children. I mean, I know that anymore prosecution, in some states, they don't prosecute property theft under a certain amount. And there are people that are now just doing this, trying to get away with it. Because they can. Why pay for it if you can walk out with it? They're not going to prosecute. They're not going to prosecute you. They're going to slap you on the wrist and let you get away with it. Oh, man. And they actually tell people they're not going to prosecute them. Ex-FBI agent in Massachusetts drove truck toward group of students in bicycles who made fun of him. Really? Cliff Hedges recently retired after 26 years in FBI as a special agent and supervisory agent. Cliff Hedges, 61, is scheduled to appear in Springfield District Court later in connection with June 2nd incident in Longmeadow, a town in south central Massachusetts. Hedges has been charged with 4 counts of assault with a dangerous weapon, leaving the scene of an incident with property damage and a negligent operation of a motor vehicle. The children told investigators that Hedges gunned his truck at them, ran over a curb, and hit a fence. No children were injured, according to the police. I kind of read the story because, like, who hasn't had that feeling? Who hasn't wanted to do this, right? Daniel, I just saw yours. Daniel said, I bet they get it out to the vehicle and it doesn't fit. Meaning the TV. That is a big TV. I don't know. You may be right. Yeah, Steven, he did miss. He hit a fence instead. I get getting angry at teenagers these days, but we have to show that we're adults. And that's just not, grow up. Just grow up. Teenagers are using face masks to dress up as old people and buy alcohol. Did you know this? Get this. Okay, and this is a UK story, but I hear they're doing it in the US too. Okay? Cheeky teens are using coronavirus face coverings to dress up as pensioners and buy booze. Donning the face coverings to hide their youthful looks, they make a few adjustments to their clothing and hair and find themselves walking out of the stores with bags of booze. The craze is sweeping the video sharing a social media app, TikTok, as the teens exploit the coronavirus crisis to avoid being asked for ID for alcohol. Multiple videos show underage drinkers applying white powder to their hair to mimic the graying locks of senior citizens and donning old-style clothing before dropping in on the liquor stores. Excuse me. One even decided to don medical gloves to hide their youthful skin on her hands while the mask covered her young face. Unsurprisingly, several videos posted have gone viral with some in the millions of views. On TikTok, one 18-year-old said she used baby powder in her hair and tucked some into a scarf to make her look matronly. Complete with sunglasses and face covering, she managed to buy a bottle of wine without being challenged. Excited, she tells her followers she is shaking. She added that if she had been challenged to provide ID, she would have said, I had forgotten it in the car and left the store. This is, I read that this is actually going on in the U.S. also. I was shocked. They should, the fact that they don't ask for ID, they walk in looking like that and they don't even ask them for ID. They should, because of masks, they should know to ask for ID. Wow. Some people's kids. Now, did you know there is a side effect they are not mentioning about COVID? Although the list of COVID symptoms keeps growing, as of now, long-lasting erections are not on it. But for this 62-year-old man, he not only experienced an erection, but a 4-hour one. Even Viagra commercials tell us that erections lasting longer than 4 hours are bad. At first, it may be an exciting side effect, but not after 4 hours. The condition is called priapism, and the Mayo Clinic defines it as prolonged erection of the penis. There are two types, one being when blood cannot leave the penis, and the other being when blood flow isn't well regulated. Continuous flow is important to the penis, and with a prolonged erection, there is a chance of tissue damage. The man visited the doctor initially with complaints of fever, dry cough, diarrhea, and because he was feeling yucky. He was otherwise healthy. The man was prescribed antibiotics, but 2 days later began having shortness of breath, went into respiratory failure, and was admitted to the hospital. He was put onto a ventilator for his breathing, but he was also having blood pressure issues. The man received intravenous fluids and medications to even out his blood pressure. The case report said this basically meant that no one had noticed an erection before the physical exam. Of course, when someone is having difficulty breathing, that person's penis may not be the first thing that you look at, unless he is doing something very unusual to make it difficult to breathe. So it's not clear how long the erection may have been going on before the physical exam. When the erection didn't fade, even with an ice pack on his penis, doctors drew blood from the organ for testing. I bet this guy was thankful he was sedated for all of this. Doctors injected a medication, epinephrine, and put the man on blood thinners. He didn't have any type of history with blood clots, but it's coming out that more and more COVID patients have been experiencing blood clots. So, they haven't put it on the list yet, but priapism is now a possibility with COVID. Wow. Not something to laugh at. You may sit there and for an erection. No, it's actually very painful, and to get rid of it is even more painful. I think Minx has gone to the extent back in one of her shows to talk about what they actually do. They actually have to draw blood to figure out what the problem is out of the penis. And then they may have to actually inject in the penis or draw blood, even more blood, out of the penis to get it to start to go down. That's how bad it is. It's not funny, and it hurts. And it will actually physically cause permanent damage if it goes longer than 4 hours. And so now we know COVID can cause a 4-hour erection. Things you may have not wanted to know, but now you do. All right, everybody. It is time to clean house. Upcoming guests. We actually have one. On the 20th of July, Tuesday, we have Rod Lurie, director of the movie The Outpost. Rod Lurie is director of the movie Outpost, released July 2020, starring Scott Eastwood, Caleb Landry Jones, and Orlando Bloom. The film, based on CNN chief correspondent Jake Tapper's best-selling book of the same name, tells the true story of events leading up to and including the Battle of Kamdesh in Afghanistan, where a small unit of U.S. soldiers defended against an overwhelming force of Taliban fighters in what was one of the bloodiest American engagements of the Afghan War. The battle resulted in 2 living service members, Ty Carter and Clint Romesha, being awarded the Medal of Honor. The first time that has happened in 50 years. Doc, I didn't need to know that. That's going to be this Tuesday on CQ Show. We have shows right now. The Monday night edition and Sergeant's Time are taking a hiatus, but should be back soon. We have Tuesdays Pop Culture Warrior with CQ and Radar. Wednesdays are Donza and Meditation Days, and then you have Sundays Kicking It with Koz and Owl, which is me. All right, everybody. We are at that time. I talked about myofascial release as an alternative. Keep it in mind. It does help. Expand your mind to the alternatives that are out there. There are many things in life that will help you. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate that. Be open to them, because you just don't know what will help. All right, everybody. Thank you for showing up. You have a good rest of your evening and a good week. I will see you next week on Sunday. Same bat time, same bat place. All right, everybody. Keep it real, keep it simple, and remember to smile, because you just don't know who you're going to help, including yourself. I love you all, and have a good rest of your evening.
I'm down, down, down to nothing. Feeling alone. I'm lost, lost, lost without you. Since you've been gone. Checked my phone too many times. Played your voice inside my head. Can't dream at night when you're not in my bed. Tossing and turning, burning, yearning for your love. Don't think I don't know where you lie. Don't think you know where I hide. I see you, I see her, I see everything. I see the ugly truth in my dream. You're up to something and leaving a mess. I read those letters where you confessed. Checked your phone too many times. Played her voice inside my head. Can't dream at night when she's there in your bed. Tossing and turning, burning, yearning for her love. Don't think I don't know where you lie. Don't think you know where I hide. I see you, I see her, I see everything. I see the ugly truth in my dream. You're up to something and leaving a mess. I read those letters where you confessed. Checked your phone too many times. Played her voice inside my head. Can't dream at night when she's there in your bed. Tossing and turning, burning, yearning for her love. Don't think I don't know where you lie. Don't think you know where I hide. I see you, I see her, I see everything. I see the ugly truth in my dream. Dream on, 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 dream on. Don't think I don't know where you lie. Don't think you know where I hide. I see you, I see her, I see
WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.